Premiere March 17th on Fox.
Coming up, the latest on a car caught in the snow and hit by a train.
Still have the snow on the ground, but eventually it will become a thing of the past by the time we get to the middle of the week. We'll have the latest on what's actually going to be a warm February week from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, how first responders navigated icy road conditions while taking care of others.
The 4 states most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. I think we're on the wrong rundown. It is 7 a.m. Are we going to get it loaded? That would be good.
Here, just throw it to me. I'll do it.
That's okay. I got it. Okay. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly vetoes a Republican redistricting plan that would make it harder for any Democrat to win a seat in Congress, including the only Kansas Democrat in Congress. GOP lawmakers promised to try to override Kelly's veto, but if they do, the new lines are likely to face court challenges. The measure would split the Kansas City area into 2 congressional districts and cost Democratic Representative Sharice Davids some of the territory in her 3rd district where she performs best. The map would also move the liberal Northeast Kansas community of Lawrence into the 1st district of central and western Kansas. A man in Miami is hit and killed by a car along Steve Owens Boulevard, and the police are asking for your help to identify the car. Police say around 10:30 p.m. Saturday, they were alerted to reports of a man down in the road in the 1200 block of Steve Owens Boulevard. Police arrived on scene and found a man who appeared to have been hit by a car. Officials say the car left the scene after hitting the man. Officials are seeking any witnesses to the incident. If you have any information, you're asked to contact Detective Johnson at 918-542-5585. And a 2-vehicle accident in Joplin halts traffic along Rangeline Road. Dispatchers were alerted to the crash just before 3:30 p.m. Sunday afternoon at the intersection of Mall Road and Rangeline. 1 vehicle rolled over. 2 other vehicles were also damaged in the crash, but were driven from the scene. And a Girard, Kansas man faces jail time after allegedly kidnapping a child and also fleeing from police. Officials with the Girard Police Department say they received a report of a domestic incident in progress. A woman reported that 29-year-old Bryce Bethel was at her home trying to take their child. Police say there was a protection order against Bethel, barring him from coming to the home or having the child. Before officers arrived, Bethel took the woman's car, which was later located by a Crawford County deputy. Bethel fled, then called 911, saying he'd returned the child, but officials say he did not. The deputy was able to stop the car. Bethel was taken into custody, charged with kidnapping, violation of a protection order, theft, and additional charges related to fleeing from the Crawford County deputy. The child was unharmed and returned to its mother. This weekend, a woman tragically died in Asbury after being hit by a train. Missouri State Highway Patrol has released the name of that woman. Officials identified her as 70-year-old Kathy Wendell of Columbus. Missouri Highway Patrol says a car got stuck in a snowdrift over the tracks at Oak Street. Wendell stayed in the car while others pushed, but when she saw the oncoming train, she got out of the car. But she didn't get far enough away in time. The train hit the car, and the car hit Wendell. Residents of Carthage had some unexpected and unique visitors. However, they were the furry kind of visitor that everyone likes. The Majijupa Mine alpacas visited Going Places Dolls, Fabric and Things just off of Maple Street.
Okay, so when we were going to craft shows, our craft booth was called Linda Handmade, and my logo is a llama. And so I don't know, llamas are just my favorite animals, and after we went to their farm and saw them, I just knew that I wanted them to come here.
Alpacas visited Carthage for a little over 2 hours, giving people time to see the furry visitors. They're so cute. Well, dig out your postage stamps. It's National Send a Card to a Friend Day. Today is the designated day to get your greeting cards out in the mail. In both ancient Chinese and Egyptian cultures, it was customary to send elegantly designed messages to friends. Even with the availability of email, a surprising 80% of adults still purchase greeting cards. That shouldn't be surprising. While the exact origin of National Send a Card to a Friend Day is not known, here's a theory. Since Valentine's Day is only a week away, maybe it was created to give people a chance to practice before the big day.
I had a feeling, because when you started in on that, I was thinking February 7th seems like such an arbitrary day to have that. And then I went, oh wait, we're exactly 1 week off of Valentine's Day. I get it.
It keeps if you don't have like a Valentine for Valentine's Day, it like helps those friends stay out of a sad state, I think. I don't know, maybe you do. I'll send you a card, Michael.
How about that? Live look outside of television city. Earlier we had a great shot of Venus. It's a little too light right now to see it, but if you're interested and you can get out before sunrise, look off to your east and you'll see a certain star that is extremely bright this time of year, almost has a little orange glow to it. And that indeed will be the planet Venus. As far as our temperatures and wind chills go right now, we are as low as 12 degrees in Yates Center, only 17 in Cassville. So there's a definitive Monday morning chill. It's crisp, but here's the nice thing. The wind is going to shift around all day, and eventually it will work in from the south. We're starting to see the slow but sure tilt in the wind arrows, and what that will do is feed us clean, dry air and warmer temperatures. So we'll be able to make it up, get this, around 40 degrees today, and then 50s for both Tuesday and Wednesday. We won't have to worry about dropping below freezing really until we get to Saturday. You'll also notice too on our Saturday panel that we have a little precipitation that works in there. Some light snowfall early Saturday morning, late Friday night, early Saturday morning, but here's the thing. It will be nowhere close to what we experienced last week, and it will not be widespread. I will be shocked if the majority of the 4 states even sees, and those of you that do, dusting to quarter to half.
Well, up next, women who develop diabetes are at risk for heart disease later in life. We'll have more on why this is. Later, the family of Levi Englert has decided to stop their annual basketball tournament. We'll have why this is. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Updates to the school nutrition standards are set to go into effect over the next 2 academic years. Mandy Gaither has more on the changes and what's behind them.
It's an effort to make school meals healthier for kids, so important for many who may not get the nutrition they need at home.
School certainly is a place to educate kids and get them to try things and be more open. That's where kids go to learn every day.
Alexis Tyndall, a registered dietitian with the Center for Healthy Weight and Nutrition at Nationwide Children's Hospital, says a well-balanced meal is also crucial to growth and development and to helping prevent chronic conditions.
That could be anything from, lowering blood pressures to reducing the risk for type 2 diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular conditions that we are also now seeing.
The new standards include that schools offer flavored 1% milk in addition to other non-fat and low-fat options. At least 80% of grains in school breakfasts and lunches per week must be whole grain rich, and there will be a 10% decrease in the weekly sodium limit for school lunches.
Sodium is going to be in more of our processed foods and snack foods and, maybe our desserts. And so naturally, when we're trying to set focuses around reducing that means kids are getting less of those processed foods and more whole foods.
The updates come as schools continue to struggle with disruptions related to the COVID-19 pandemic, like supply chain issues. So the USDA says schools can transition to the new standards gradually.
Well, children who have positive interactions with their mothers are less likely to become obese later in life. A study in pediatrics finds when children ages 4 and younger receive warmth and positive parenting from their mothers, it improves their ability to self-regulate their behavior. The findings suggest positive parenting, even at infancy, can have long-term effects. Women who develop diabetes while pregnant are at greater risk for heart problems later in life. A study for the Society for Maternal Fetal Medicine shows gestational diabetes can cause far more cardiovascular problems than previously thought. The risk for heart attack and stroke increase as patients get older. Infants exposed to opioids during the first trimester have a slightly increased risk for congenital abnormalities. Researchers for the Canadian Medical Association Journal say mothers who use prescription painkillers, even in the first few weeks of pregnancy, could put the baby at risk for a variety of health issues. Study says doctors should factor in these risks when prescribing opioids. We'll call him the leaping lawman. An Idaho state trooper went the extra mile, or a few extra feet anyway, to keep a cat from running away last month. Trooper Enrique Larinez did a flying belly flop, yep, you just saw that, to fetch the feline. It happened after he pulled a van over on Interstate 90 and found controlled substances inside. The cat wasn't going to get caught. 2 people in the van were arrested on drug charges. As Larinez was waiting for animal control to come for the pets, the cat made a break for it. It wasn't fast enough for the quick-thinking trooper who caught it and returned it to the van.
That is impressive. Holy cow.
Hey, the humans in the vehicle may have been going into jail, but the kitty did not want to get locked up. There was no way.
Well, and also too, the one thing I'll say about that is obviously the cat was okay, but also too, you know, I'm going to assume that's a domesticated feline right there that probably would have had a hard time of survival in that weather in those surroundings.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
And yeah, so kudos. I know that kind of looks a little harsh there when he pounces on it, but you know.
Oh, I'm sure the kitty was fine.
That is something else. Just the wherewithal to do that. That is rather impressive. It is still chilly outside. Take a look at our regional temperatures here on this Monday morning. A whole lot of 20s on the board. Down into the teens. Up to our far north, but a beautiful shot outside of 7th and range line. Sitting at 20 degrees right now. Do have a wind chill in effect all the way down to 12. Here's the actual temperatures. Waiting on the old 32-degree mark because it'll be a couple hours before we get there. Technically, we're still 2 minutes off of sunrise. That'll actually be at 7:15 on this Monday morning. 20 in both Carthage and Lamar, 17 in Neodesha, 23 in Fort Scott and in Miami. A little bit of cloud cover working up to our far north, but very, very dry. Not only for us, but the entire Midwest. Watch that wind arrow slowly shifting. And also, too, while they continue to work around and eventually come in from the south, we're also going to see those numbers increase to the tune of about 10 to 15 miles per hour throughout the afternoon, gusting from 20 to 25 miles per hour. Minus the Gulf Coast and the Mid-Atlantic, not a whole lot going on coming after what we had last week. That is not a bad thing whatsoever. And we're actually in store for a work and school week that are absolutely delightful considering that we're pushing into the middle of February here. How about high 40s today with a whole bunch of sunshine, put future track into gear, and you'll notice that by the time we get into Tuesday, we are going to throw some 50s on the board for our afternoon hours. That is just going to be hard to beat. Nationally speaking, if we take a look at what's on the Atlantic coast, as it moves through, look at all the high pressure west of the Mississippi. There is nary a raindrop. Not necessarily a great thing for people west of the Rockies because they actually need a little precipitation, but don't have to worry about anything severe as we'll ride 50s on Tuesday and Wednesday, 40s on Thursday, back to the 50s on Friday until the cold front arrives just in time for Saturday morning. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Protesters took to the streets all weekend in Minneapolis after police executed a no-knock warrant. Here's the details with the rest of the story.
Car caravan was organized in lieu of an outdoor demonstration in Minneapolis's sub-freezing temperatures. It followed weekend protests in response to the death of Amir Locke. The 22-year-old was shot and killed at an apartment by a SWAT team last Wednesday. Locke was not the person listed on a warrant used to enter the home.
With more accountability with our police, we need to end police brutality and these no-knock warrants.
Body camera footage shows officers entering the apartment without knocking, an officer kicking the couch where Locke was sleeping. In the video, he's seen wrapped in a comforter, beginning to move with a pistol in his hand just before an officer fires his weapon.
We believe that he executed him. We believe it. And we definitely want him prosecuted to the fullest.
I should be able to tell my son that I love you and he says I love you too.
Locke has no criminal record and his family says he had a permit for the gun seen in the video. The officer who fired the shots is now on administrative leave but has not been charged with a crime. In a statement, the Police Officers Association of Minnesota expressed sympathy for Locke's family and said, quote, "No officer goes into a dangerous setting like this wanting to use a weapon. That decision was not taken lightly." Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Fry's office says it severely limits the use of no-knock warrants since last November. That part of the reforms related to the death of George Floyd. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
It's time to honor today's state hero, Bill Stansbury. Chief Petty Officer Stansbury served with the Navy from 1967 to 1969, serving in Vietnam. He served on 5 ships outside of Japan, Guam, Hawaii, and worked the Joplin Recruiting Office. Chief Petty Officer Stansbury represented the U.S. Navy in 1959 by raising the 50th statehood flag in Hawaii. Pretty cool. During his service, he earned the Navy Achievement Medal and the Vietnam Service Medal with 3 stars. His hometown, Carl Junction, Missouri. To Chief Petty Officer Bill Stansbury, we thank you, our 4th state hero. Well, for 25 years, the family of Levi Englert, alongside the Boys and Girls Club of Southwest Missouri, has hosted a basketball tournament in his honor after he passed away in 1995. After all these years, his family says it's time to move on. KOAM's Bronte Sorosky tells us how the tournament has impacted the community after all these years.
For 25 years, the Englert family has worked to memorialize the life of 15-year-old Levi Englert, who tragically passed away in a car accident in 1995. He loved all things sports, especially basketball, and wanted to play professionally one day.
He was actually playing for the junior high. He's in the 9th grade. He was playing school ball, and we played here every year.
As a way for something greater to come from their son's death, the Englerts created the Levi Englert basketball tournament, which on Saturday celebrated 25 years and its last.
I just feel like 25 years is enough. You know, it's kind of hard on the family. It's kind of stressful, and it's I don't want to get in a situation where we're abusing the loss of our child for something like this. I mean, it's time to move on.
The memorial tournament brings in players from all over the 4 states every year.
Travel teams come from all over. Parsons, deep in Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas to come play in this tournament.
Throughout the past 25 years, the tournament has raised funds to build the very gym where its last game will be held.
This tournament has meant so much and actually brought so much in. So the tournament supported the building of this gym. It produced board members. It produced funding every year for the club, which was greatly needed and still is.
It also plays a key role in the operations of the Boys and Girls Club of Southwest Missouri, which serves over 1,500 kids per year.
This is one of 3 major fundraisers that we do here at the Boys and Girls Club, and without these funds, it'd make it very difficult to do our day-in-day operations. Fundraising gets to go right into that budget and help us just with staffing and lights and, you know, just to run the operations.
For Levi's father, watching kids he used to coach continue his son's memory by competing in his favorite sport.
It's really fun because I grew up coaching a lot of these guys on my kids' teams and stuff, and then now we're into their kids are coaches. The kids I coached are playing, and some of them's even coaching now, and grandkids are playing. So it's just it's fun to see the full circle.
In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Although the family has decided to end the tournament after 25 years, the Boys and Girls Club plans to replace it with another event. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, Lauren Slam from the Girl Scouts stops by to tell us what to expect from this year's Girl Scout cookie season. Ever wanted to take a class on Taylor Swift? Michael does. Here's an opportunity to do just that. Stick with us. We'll tell you how. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:29. Let's take a look at today's top stories. A 2-vehicle accident in Joplin halts traffic along Range Line Road. Dispatchers were alerted to the crash just before 3:30 p.m. on Sunday afternoon at the intersection of Mall Road and Range Line. One vehicle rolled over. 2 other vehicles were also damaged in the crash, but were driven from the scene. A man in Miami is hit and killed by a car along Steve Owens Boulevard, and the police are asking for your help identifying the car. Police say around 10:30 p.m. Saturday night, they were alerted to reports of a man down in the road in the 1200 block of Steve Owens Boulevard. Police arrived on scene and found a man who appeared to have been hit by a car. Officials say the car left the scene after hitting the man. Officials are seeking any witnesses to the incident. If you have any information, you're asked to contact Detective Johnson, 918-542-5585. Well, this weekend marked the 3rd year the Neosho Arts Council held its ArtCon event. ArtCon features aspects of art that might be more inclined to those who are creative types. This year included authors, different aspects of gaming, vendors with comic books, toys, illustrators, and cosplay, or dressing up for those who might be into acting. The Neosho Arts Council says it's one of many events they sponsor throughout the year, showcasing numerous aspects of art to reach the entire community.
Like this, we do the concerts in the park. We do classes, so it's a great variety of things, trying to find the right fit with the different people who are out there who have an interest in art.
Organizers say 2023 could be even bigger than this year. They have already begun planning for next year's event. Well, the Main Street Axe Company held a duel that was a competition as well. Well, of course, this was an axe dueling competition. The base is pretty simple. Whoever scores the most points wins. Participants could... That's how it works, Michael. Participants could compete solo or as a team, providing a fun and competitive challenge.
We have 14 teams visiting from Kansas City, Jinx, Oklahoma, Northwest Arkansas, Pittsburgh and Joplin area, and Neosho. Duels, you have a teammate. A match is 5 throws. You and your teammate stand side by side. You throw at the same time and share the same bullseye. The high score wins from 5 throws.
In addition to the axe throwing, there were bar games, food, and prizes throughout the day, and this was at their Joplin location. The Spiva Center for the Arts has all sorts of events that they host. This weekend, they hosted a glass tea light class. Of course, the course focuses on glass composition, and participants had the chance to make their own abstract pieces to bring home.
We're making tea lights. We're going to put little fairy lights in them so they'll glow through the light or through the candle holder. And you can put a candle in it if you want. But we've made all kinds of things here at Spiva. We've made ornaments, we've made sun catchers, we've made jewelry, all kinds of things. We're just going to practice on
It was for ages 9 and up. Giant pandas, Ru Yi and Ding Ding living in Moscow Zoo chose the winners of the Beijing Olympics last Thursday, because when you want to know who's going to win, you ask the bears. The animals were offered cones with national flags of participating countries. There we go. Okay, so the cones had the different flags from different countries that were participating. And the ones with the largest number of athletes got to be participated there. Of course, the cones that got taken down by the pandas were considered the winners. No treats were placed in any of the cones to ensure prediction impartiality. Beijing has loaned them to Moscow for 15 years in 2019 as part of a joint research project.
Do we know what country won?
We did not tell you in that story.
Huh.
We need to find out.
Yeah.
Well, okay, what got knocked down in that video there? Looked like China.
The sun did not. The sun did not get knocked down. The glow cloud is out and about. How about that?
Because sunrise was at 7:15.
Interestingly enough, I thought that I saw a Russian flag on there, because remember that the Russian Olympic Committee is sending athletes. They do have athletes there, despite the fact that the country itself is banned from athletes because of the rampant performance-enhancing drugs that athletes were found with. However, there were a certain amount of athletes that could test, and if they were deemed to be clean, could compete under what's known as the Russian Olympic Committee flag.
I'm trying to see if I got a winner.
I'll let you. I'll do weather. You look and see if we have a winner, okay?
Okay, I'm looking it
there
up.
There we are.
You
Live look outside of Television City, and we are actually going to be right at, if not above, our average temperature for this time of year for the rest of the week. It is going to be delightful all the way through Friday. As we sit right now, it's actually cooler than what it was at this point in time yesterday. How about a 13-degree difference in Carl Junction? But I tell you what, can't complain about really what we had over the weekend as our melt has begun. And we are going to take a little bit to get up to the freezing mark, but once we do, oh, it's going to be so well worth it. What a gorgeous shot over 7th and Rangeline. Still see some snow in the church parking lot there across the street from our bureau as we range anywhere from, say, about 18 to 25 degrees on this Monday morning. Now, the Skywatch storm tracker, clean as can be, hardly any even cloud cover. And the entire Midwest, nice and quiet coming off of the major storm that we encountered last week. A 7-day forecast that it will actually have 3 days that will lift us into the 50s. Don't have to worry about the cold front until we get to Saturday morning.
Okay, so if we could recap that real quick. The Pandas actually picked 4 winners because there's lots of sports, so they're going to have lots of winners. So Ding Ding first ran up to the cone with the Russian flag and embraced it because that was his first choice. Okay. And then he took the cone with the China flag and knocked it over. So that was his second choice.
All right.
Okay, so the other bear was named Ru Yi, excuse me. A little bit more responsible approach, leisurely sniffed each cone, came to the conclusion that Germany was the most likely candidate to win.
I thought I saw a German flag out there. Yeah.
Tore down the flag off of that one and chewed it up.
Wow.
To the German one.
That's
okay.
an aggressive panda move right
Yes,
there.
and then Ru Yi needed more time to think for his second pick, waddled around, and then returned to the cone with the U.S. flag. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you for putting those back up.
Boy, if only international diplomacy, NATO, and the Ukraine was as simple as that. Unfortunately, it's not.
Did not mention what he did to the U.S. flag, but he did chew up the German
that
one.
was the German
Yes,
flag coming
yes.
off right there. All right, we shall. I find it interesting that that they had 4 places, despite the fact that traditionally, when we think about the Olympics, you would have 3 for gold, silver, and bronze.
But 2 bears, each one had 2 picks. There you go.
We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Got a special guest joining us because, according to the calendar, it is that time of year. Lauren Slam. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us. Lauren is a public relations specialist for the Girl Scouts of the Missouri Heartland. Lauren, number 1, thank you so much for your time. Number 2, my calendar tells me that you're going to be a tad bit busy this time of year because it truly is a piece of Americana when we talk about the Girl Scout cookie.
Absolutely. I mean, thank you, first off, for having me here. And yes, the cookie season officially started about a month ago on January 3rd, a little bit earlier than some other places in the U.S. We just like to get our cookies, on the road. People need them here, and we meet that need.
And it is so interesting. Lauren and I were just talking earlier during the break that she happens to be in the Springfield area joining us remote, but the Girl Scout cookie originating not too far away from either one of us in Muskogee, Oklahoma. So who knew? Lauren, I know that people are going to have their particular favorites and their go-tos, and I understand we got some new things on the menu. But first off, let's kind of start with our old traditional standbys. What do we have on the docket this year?
So we have 9 cookies in total, and we've got like your classic Thin Mints, the Caramel Delights, we have lemonades, peanut butter patties, the peanut butter sandwiches, and then 2 new ones. So last year we had the Toastier, which kind of tastes like a French toast, like crunch, cinnamon toast crunch. Super good. It's nice in the morning. It's a morning cookie when you think about it. And then we have the brand new one this year called Adventurefuls, which is a brownie-inspired caramel cream top sea salt accented cookie, and it is as good as it sounds.
I think it says something very interesting in the fact that the Girl Scouts of America, they bring out new cookies, new recipes. It shows the innovation. It shows what you're teaching these young girls and these young women as they move forward. What's kind of the process? How do you decide what goes new on a menu each year?
So we just try and sometimes it's polls, asking around. We just want to see what people aren't like buying because of their reason. Someone might be gluten-free, and so we created a gluten-free cookie. And so we want to meet the needs of the people, whatever reason they don't want to buy the cookies. We want to say, you don't like chocolate, well, we have a lemonade. And so there's really no reason to not support our girls because they're working on ways to meet your needs every day.
I think it's amazing the way you are able to transform and for your girls and for the general public who loves Girl Scout cookies. Now, coming off of last week, we know that Girl Scout cookies selling, it kind of got put on hold because we weren't going to have the kids tromping around in 6 to 8 inches of snow with freezing cold temperatures. So I asked you this, I don't want to say it's a time of catch-up, but is there like a kind of a one-stop shopping resource that if, I just got a hankering for some and I got to go order some that I can find?
Absolutely. Our girls are always thinking of innovative new ways of selling cookies. One of the ways that we've created throughout these last few years is the Cookie Finder app. So what you can do is you can go on your phone and type in Cookie Finder, and then you download the app and you type in your zip code, and it'll tell you the cookie booths nearest to you. And that'll start February 18th. So that's National Girl Scout Cookie Weekend. And so and the snow will be cleared away, hopefully.
Yes,
too.
it will.
So
By the 18th, we'll get it there. Okay, that's the Cookie Finder app. And I go on there, and this is how I do my pre-order of my adventure cookies, the new ones. And I try to corner the market on the 4 states. Lauren, one last thing before we get out of here. Can you talk about the importance of what it means for not only your troops, but nationwide? Because sometimes we take the cookies for granted. We know the Girl Scouts are doing great things, and we know they're going to come to our door, but sometimes we forget about the long-range goals when it comes to cookie selling.
Absolutely. So just supporting the Girl Scout cookie program teaches our girls such amazing entrepreneurial skills. This is the #1 girl-led entrepreneurial program in the world, and it shows. Our girls are showing up. They're the future, and you're going to see them in businesses, running businesses, and, everywhere around you, you're probably going to meet a Girl Scout. Like if you asked someone in the room, you're going to find at least one that was a Girl Scout, and it'll show.
That's a very good point. You're going to be able to identify them probably through those leadership abilities that you all do such a good job instilling in them.
Absolutely.
Lauren Slam from the Girl Scouts of the Missouri Heartland. Lauren, thank you so much for your time this morning, and I know you've probably got most of our viewers like Pavlov's dog right now. We're going to go find us some cookies. Remember, folks, Girl Scout Cookie Week starts February the 18th. Is that right, Lauren?
So it's actually now, but that's where the girls will be knocking on your doors
Right.
and taking pre-orders. But Girl Scout Cookie Weekend is
app.
the 18th.
The
and
app
that's,
is-
yes, the app.
App is the
launches
18th.
then.
Perfect. Thank you for that clarification. Lauren, so great to see you. You be safe out there, and we'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Thank you.
Get ready to spend more money on that special someone this Valentine's Day. Laura Podesta explains what's pushing up prices.
Bonchet Jagla creates unique bouquets for people in the New York City area. Prices for roses and other flowers usually go up before Valentine's Day, but this year there could be some sticker shock.
If you could ballpark how much they cost last year compared to this year?
About 20% more.
She blames the pandemic for shutting down some flower producers and causing a supply squeeze.
Right now, a lot of farms that we use for flowers, they're out of business.
They're out of business.
The flowers she can find cost more because shipping prices are soaring.
The price went up higher, the freight as well.
People are buying Valentine gifts and they want heart-shaped boxes.
At Lilac Chocolates, co-owner Anthony Cerrone says he's experiencing similar problems with packaging.
The Valentine boxes, we got hit with 50% increase, and when we asked why, we were told it was 100% due to container ship pricing, transportation costs.
He's been forced to raise prices on some items. This box of truffles is $60. Last year, it sold for $48. And it's not just candy and flowers. Prices for jewelry and eating out are also higher this year. But that's not slowing spending. The National Retail Federation predicts the average American will shell out $175 for Valentine's Day.
And we could see total spending reach almost $24 billion, which would be the second highest in our survey's history.
Experts suggest shopping early to get the best prices.
I recommend them to order ahead of time.
Bonchet says call ahead and work work with a local florist. They can help pick a bouquet with a price tag that won't make your heart skip a beat. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
The National Retail Federation says nearly a third of Americans plan to gift an evening out this year. Why not? Almost a quarter, 22% will opt to gift jewelry to a special someone. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Another star shines on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in a college class for Taylor Swift fans. Danye Bacchus with our Eye on Entertainment.
It's a dream come true for Taylor Swift fans. College credit for studying their favorite pop star. This semester, New York University is offering the course Topics in Recorded Music, Taylor Swift. Taught by Rolling Stone magazine staff writer and self-proclaimed superfan Brittany Spanos, the course explores the appeal and aversion to the pop star, Swift's music and lyrics, copyright and ownership, and the impact of social media on the pop music industry. An interactive exhibit celebrating Bob Marley is open in London. The Bob Marley One Love Experience features the reggae legend's music along with artwork and photographs.
Every room has something different, and I feel like when you leave here, you kind of feel like you're leaving with a little piece of Bob.
The exhibit runs through mid-April. The NAACP is giving Samuel L. Jackson its Chairman's Award. The organization says it is recognizing the 73-year-old for demonstrating exemplary public service and using his platforms to create agents of change. The Oscar-nominated actor and activist since the Civil Rights Movement will receive his honor February 26 during the 53rd NAACP Image Awards show on BET. And Andy Cohen gets his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
This is really surreal. This is really a trip. It's kind of like being at your own funeral, but fun.
The Emmy Award-winning host, producer, and author oversees the Real Housewives franchise and hosts a late-night talk show on Bravo. That's your Eye on Entertainment. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Andy Cohen, a Missouri native, eastern portion of the state. Here's where we stand temperature-wise right now. Looking at anything from about 18 to 25, so it is a crisp, cool Monday morning, but the Skywatch storm tracker clear as a bell. We're going to be on the dry side all week long. As those wind arrows continue to shift, eventually work in from the south, bring us gusts of about 25 miles per hour this afternoon. But you'll notice everything west of the Mississippi just about as quiet and calm as can be. Let the sunshine take effect. We'll work up into the mid-40s today. And why stop there? Because by the time it's all said and done, we're talking about 50s by the middle of the week. Also of note, not only will that snow melt, we won't have to worry about any additional rainfall. Not until we get to Saturday. Now, what does Saturday bring us? Big Arctic cold front, followed by some additional rain and snow. Not widespread and nothing like what we had last week. That I promise you. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. The White House believes a Russian invasion of Ukraine could happen any day. The Kremlin has positioned roughly 110,000 troops along that nation's borders. Sources tell CBS News that's about 70% of the force being assembled for an offensive. Russia denies it's planning an attack and has accused the U.S. of trying to provoke a conflict. The coronavirus has now claimed more than 900,000 lives in the U.S. The CDC says the number of new infections has dropped sharply in the last 2 weeks, but the number of COVID-19 deaths has not. The disease has killed over 5.7 million people worldwide. Queen Elizabeth II marked 70 years on the throne on Sunday. The Queen has succeeded her father, King George VI in 1952. The 95-year-old royal is the longest-serving monarch in British history. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Mid-40s today, not too bad whatsoever. Pretty seasonable, actually, right on par with what we'd expect. Then a warm-up for Tuesday and Wednesday. That snow will certainly be a thing of the past by the middle of the week, even where we see the shaded areas that are still holding on to 2 to 3 inches of accumulation. That'll melt with February temps in the 50s. Next big cold front, that's going to be Friday night into Saturday morning. And while we going to throw chances of snow up there, it will not be widespread. It will not be anything like what we encountered Wednesday and Thursday of last week.
All right, a rescued baby sloth is being cared for by experts in Colombia. A vet tending the Hoffman's two-toed sloth, which is just 1 month old, said it needed round-the-clock care. The sloth was rescued by firefighters in the rural area of Cararapi. The species lives in forest in Central and South America and spends much of its time upside down. Habitat stretches from Costa Rica and Ecuador to the Amazon rainforest in Peru and Bolivia.
I wouldn't know what to do if I came across a little baby sloth.
Well, it wasn't going to run away.
They do have long claws, though. Yeah. I mean,
I know they spend a lot of energy. I can't remember if it's the two-toed or the three-toed that they have different traits and what they eat and stuff. And one of them, like, you know, they make their daily trip down the tree and
yes, yes,
it's a whole adventure.
It is,
yeah.
Do your thing and then get back up. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. More news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
The cost of building materials is outrageous.